Would you like to live the life of a merch sister? No, I would not like to live the life of a merch sister because women were expected to follow the moral lessons of showing kindness and sharing with neighbors, and people in the Victorian era had distinguished gender roles which would restrict my freedom, making myself comparable to a puppet. Let's examine the question: would I be able to live up to moral lessons of 1868? First, Meg gave her breakfast to a poorer family for the Christmas present. Meg loves her neighbors after being called the angel children. Mr. Bayard does not sell profitable whiskey for the good for all. These examples show kindness and sharing with neighbors. But if I were Marsh's sister, would I have given up my Christmas present? I say no, since I'd rather be considered selfish than to give up my present. Next, Amy wants to help others just like she was helped. Also, Marmee has a bad temper, but she puts down her anger since women are expected to show kindness. But if I were Marmee, would I be able to live without showing anger? I say no, since I don't understand how a person can live without showing anger, holding it down inside forever. According to Smith Rosenberg, professor of history at the University of Michigan, women were expected to show kindness and share with neighbors. They had to keep the dignity and honor of women by devoting themselves to their husbands and serving others with respect. According to the Independence Hall Association, women were also expected to be careful with their word choices for their honor as women. If I lived in 1868, I would be pressured to live up to moral lesson of showing kindness and sharing with neighbors. However, I have almost no pressure or obligation to help others currently. Thus, 2023 is better to live in. Moving on, let's examine the question: would I be able to live in a society where roles of men and women are separated? Max says to live off boyish characters to Joe, but Joey wants to play boys' games. Later, Joe is depressed, realizing the boundaries of the role of women. If I were Joe, would I be able to live only staying at home and knitting? I say no, since I want to play sports and video games. Joe sees young ladies and boys whose freedom is restricted by their social roles. And according to the American literary scholar Richard Altick, women were seen as inferior to men and women were to stay at home. These pieces of evidence show limited freedom by the stereotyped roles of gender in the 19th century. In 1886, most jobs were not open to women, but most jobs were open to anyone with abilities now. While some may say gender roles are still present, jobs are more open to people with abilities. Considering the pressure given by moral lessons and limitations by defined gender roles, I don't want to live as a March sister.